There's a photograph from 2013. LeBron James stands at the free throw line wearing a Golden State Warriors jersey. And he shouldn't be. It's Christmas Day. The Miami Heat are visiting Oracle Arena. But there he is, in the wrong colors because something went wrong with the uniform. He ripped the sleeves off, not during the game, but between quarters. Clean tears at the shoulder seams. When reporters asked him about it afterward, he didn't joke or deflect. He simply said he needed to feel his arms, needed the fabric gone. At the time, it felt small, a wardrobe issue, a personal preference, something that would be forgotten by the next game. But it wasn't. That image, LeBron standing alone at the line with his jersey torn open, quietly marked the beginning of the end of one of the strangest experiments in NBA history. This is the story of why the league put sleeves on basketball jerseys and why they couldn't keep them there. The idea didn't begin on a basketball court. It took shape somewhere more familiar to modern sports. Inside conference rooms, marketing decks, and sales projections. By 2013, the NBA didn't look like a league in trouble. Revenue was strong, viewership was climbing, the lockout was over. On the surface, everything was working. But there was one area that had stopped growing. Merchandise. Jerseys still sold, especially during the playoffs or on big nights. But executives noticed something subtle. Fans didn't wear them casually. A basketball jersey worked in an arena. It worked on a summer court. But outside of that, it felt out of place. Too athletic, too specific. Adidas, the league's uniform partner at the time, had been studying another market. Soccer. Replica soccer jerseys sold year-round. They looked like shirts. You could layer them, wear them to dinner, to work on casual Fridays, even on a plane. They didn't feel like costumes, they felt wearable. So the pitch was simple. What if NBA jerseys could feel the same way? The solution wasn't radical. It wasn't even complicated. It was fabric, sleeves. At first, the players didn't complain. Not publicly, at least. But if you watch closely, you could see something was off. Small adjustments between plays, hands tugging at shoulders, fabric being rolled, stretched, tested. Nothing dramatic, just discomfort. Years later, Draymond Green explained it in simple terms. When you shoot a basketball, your arm extends fully. The motion is natural, automatic, something you've repeated tens of thousands of times without thinking. The sleeves change that. Not enough to stop you. Just enough to be noticed. And in basketball, noticing is everything. The league insisted the jerseys were designed for performance. Stretch fabric, lightweight materials, extensive testing. On paper, they worked exactly as intended. But shooting isn't just mechanics. It's feel, rhythm, familiarity. The same reason a guitarist notices when the tension on a string changes, even if the difference is barely measurable. LeBron didn't wait to adjust. On Christmas Day, he tore the sleeves off. A few weeks later, other players followed quietly, not during games, but in practice, cutting the fabric, altering the uniforms. Equipment managers stopped enforcing the rules. No memos, no announcements, just acceptance. By February, it was clear the problem wasn't going away. The players weren't adapting, but the league still didn't pull back. Not yet. Because something else was happening. While the players were adjusting on the court, the league was watching something else entirely. Sales. Almost immediately, the sleeve jerseys started moving, not just in team stores, but online. Fans who had never bought a basketball jersey before were buying these because they didn't feel like jerseys. They felt like shirts. Casual fans liked them. Parents bought them for kids. People wore them outside of games, to restaurants, to school, to work. From a business perspective, the experiment was working, and that created a quiet tension. On one side were the players who felt restricted, distracted, uncomfortable. On the other was the league, seeing proof that the idea had merit. The NBA didn't need the sleeves to be loved by everyone. They just needed them to sell. So instead of backing off, the league leaned in. More teams wore them. More designs were introduced. The jerseys appeared in bigger games, on bigger stages. Christmas, national broadcasts, playoff matchups. The message was subtle, but clear. This wasn't a temporary experiment anymore. It was becoming part of the uniform rotation. But basketball has a way of pushing back. Shooting percentages dipped slightly in sleeve games. Not enough to make headlines. Not enough to prove anything definitively. But enough for players to notice. And in a league where careers are built on fractions, on percentages, and on confidence, even the suggestion of interference was dangerous. Still, the league held its position because the numbers off the court looked too good to ignore. There was no announcement, no press release, no league memo explaining a change in dress code. The sleeve jerseys didn't end the way they began. They didn't fail publicly. They simply stopped appearing. Fewer games featured them, then fewer teams, then fewer designs. By the 2015 playoffs, they were almost gone. Not banned, not officially discontinued, just absent. Teams returned to what had always worked: sleeveless jerseys, the kind of uniform players stopped thinking about the moment the game started. And that was the point. The league never admitted the experiment hadn't worked, because in some ways it had. The jerseys sold. They reached new buyers. They proved fans wanted something different. But basketball isn't worn by fans first. It's worn by players. And in a sport built on repetition, precision, and feel, even the smallest distraction matters. The sleeves asked players to adjust their bodies to serve a product. Eventually, the league accepted that the product had to serve the game instead. By the time Nike took over as the NBA's uniform partner in 2017, the decision was already made. Sleeves weren't part of the future. Not because they were ugly, not because fans hated them, but because the game rejected them. Quietly, decisively. If you stayed with me till here, thank you. Stories like this take time to tell and time to find their people. If this one stayed with you, feel free to like and subscribe for the next story.